Hey everyone, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
Hey guys, welcome back. I feel like I haven't spoken to
It's been a long time.
however many people listen to this podcast in a minute, right?
It's been like 2 weeks. I think.
Yeah, it's been 2
we've been
weeks.
Slacking a little bit.
I know. It's been nuts. Family in town. It's just been, a lot going on.
Yeah, we're literally in our quote unquote studio, which has been Aaliyah's sister's room.
Right, right.
This
So
is the first day we had it.
But so today, Joe and I talked about it in terms of what are we going to talk about next, and then he got on this rant or whatever about COVID again because the numbers get to him, and then I was
Can't
like,
stop.
yeah, I was like, no, we have to do something different. It's just always COVID and politics and blah blah blah. So I was like, why don't we just talk about like more of like mental health, but on maybe our own personal journeys, right? In terms of like how we're dealing and working with stuff, And for me, I have to tell you, it was an interesting decision to come to because in the clinical world, I will say, as being a clinician, I think that there's the topic of self-disclosure. There's a lot of controversy around that, So some clinicians think never, don't do it. And then other clinicians like myself feel that self-disclosing to a point where it's being used as a part of the therapy, as a part to relate, so in that kind of way, is completely okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could actually even talk about that for a minute, where we were talking about the other day how, a lot of therapists, you don't really know about them, right? It's all
Right.
about just, what, I don't know, schools they went to and
Right.
who they've worked with or whatever. But like, I think we might be kind of heading into that arena where it's good. It's like if your therapist is open and says, I have, had this issue in the past and that issue, and this is how I resolved it. Like maybe initially it might seem like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to that therapist because they're kind of like, they get their own issues. But once people are open to it and they see, wow, I want to get help from somebody who has helped themselves, I think that is going to be very beneficial to patients.
Yeah. Well, and there's a way to do that too. Like obviously
Right.
in the first session, I'm not going to be like, like as long as it's done tactfully and just in a more effective way, I find that just with my patients, my people, that it's just, eventually we just kind of become two people, right? Like just sitting in a room that have really great, deep, funny, conversations. And sometimes those conversations get really, really serious and intense. And sometimes they don't because therapy doesn't always have to be so fucking serious. So that's what we're getting into today.
Okay.
So, all right. So do you want to start with your journey or?
I mean, you can go first because with you, it's more about like your journey. For me, it is about like we're not going deep into like how we became the people we are like right now and starting from childhood.
No,
shit.
God, no.
We're just talking about current things that we're going through.
Yeah.
That we're learning from about ourselves and stuff like that.
Right. And like how we're handling it.
Yeah. So you want to go further? You want me to go first? I can go first.
I'll go first.
Okay. So.
So one of the things that is a current theme that has been a current theme in my life in terms of something that I've been working on since I was like, my God, like 14 or something like that, all the way until, today still, right? Because I'm still growing, has been issues with my mom. And all of my people who I work with, I'm very open about that, especially if it's relevant in the therapy session. Because what I find is lots of people who come to therapy do have issues with their mother or father, or, like on like a deeper level. And so I use that sometimes to kind of, relate and to kind of say, hey, look, like, I get it. You're a person. I'm a person. I completely have been there. This is really what I've done, and it's helped me, I have found, on top of, just book knowledge that I know. But yeah, so my mom, just to give everyone like a short little synopsis, just so that you understand where those issues came from. My mother left me, my sister, and my dad when I was probably about 10 years old. Now I'm saying it that way because at that moment when it happened, that's what I thought, right? That she just left us, right? And now I'm like learning all this new stuff because we're in a whole different place today. But so that's been a theme from 14, 15, 16, 17, all the way until now. And I can honestly say that the best, like the relationship between my mother and I until recently has really been like non-existent. I think for a long, long time, I was very, very angry with her, lots of resentment. I will take accountability and say that I was even probably borderline, like not even borderline, I was probably just like really verbally and just like emotionally abusive to her as well. Because that's how it was coming out. Like my anger of her abandoning us, me, was there. And I realize now that I really never had an understanding of like what happened when, because in my family, no one talked about anything, and I'm not sure people can relate to that, but especially in specific cultures, from the Spanish culture, no one really talks about what's really going on. So all I knew and all my brain allowed me to remember, okay, because now we're talking about the brain suppressing information, was that she left me. Right. So that created a what we call issue of attachment, issues of abandonment. OK, so from 14 to now, that's something that I've been working on. I definitely did a lot of therapy. And I say that because I think it's important. When I was in my master's program, one of our professors said something really important that I remember to this day. And she was like, listen, if you're going to be a therapist, you need to do your work, meaning you need to go to therapy. You need to experience what it's like to be sitting in the other chair. You need to work on your shit. And I took it and ran with it. And at that point, I had stopped therapy, so I wasn't really going, but I went back at that point because I was like, well, that makes total sense to me, right? Like, I don't want to be sitting in a therapy session doing therapy with people, being a fucking hypocrite and contradicting myself, and then my words mean nothing.
Right. And this is what I'm talking about. Like every therapist should go to their own therapist.
Every therapist.
And figure themselves out before because you can never help anybody else without helping yourself first.
Every therapist. Mentally. Actually, I'm a little annoyed that the master's programs, and I don't know about all of them, but the ones that I've known about and went to, that they don't require that. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people were in the master's program that I went to for mental health counseling that I saw for a couple of weeks. And while I was in the classroom, in my mind, I'd be like, there's something unstable about this person. And then we never saw them again. And I don't know if I'm sure the professors picked up on it, and then, had a talk or whatever and removed them from the program. But it's like, for the ones that aren't being identified, like now you have, I feel like everyone needs to be evaluated or be going to therapy while they're a therapist trying to help people. So anyway, I went to therapy, did that whole entire thing, and understand I was like a frequent flyer in therapy, meaning like, because I was young too during this time, like in like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I would go to therapy, and then the minute it would get to my mom, boom, I was out. And then I would go back to therapy again, mom, boom, out. And that's what happens, right? Whenever we get into serious shit, and you don't want to talk about anything because it's scary. What do? You bail, And so I was very good at that. Interesting enough, though, each and every time that I was doing that, meaning each time that I was going to therapy, although I was bailing, I was still retaining information and learning stuff. Because you guys, you can't unlearn. You can't unlearn. Now, you may not remember shit consciously, okay, in that moment, but once someone gives you insight and you learn something, you cannot unlearn it. It's there.
Just do lots of drugs all the time.
Well, now it's not that you're unlearning, you're just completely just like, suppressing or disconnecting, right? So it's still there. It's information that's still there. That's why, let's say, for example, drug addicts, when they come to treatment, I've had patients who, let's say, went to 21 treatments, but guess what? I don't give a shit how many treatments they went to, and I don't, because each and every facility they went to, they got something out of. They did. They did. They absolutely did. Maybe they had struggled with implementation, obviously, but they still got something out of it, right? So I did that for a while and then found a therapist that I really, 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 really dug. And I think that's a big thing too, right? Like when you find a therapist that you're like, damn, like you're like on some, right? And at that time for me, I think I could only go to male therapists specifically because I had those issues with my mom. So with women, I just wasn't, I think I was more guarded working on the issues with my mom with a female. Right. And because I'm closer to my father, right? Like a man just felt more comfortable to me.
You're more open to
right. Totally. So when I found that therapist, I was in therapy consistently for a while and did some serious freaking inner child crying. I hated it because I also don't like to be so vulnerable, especially when it comes to like me and my own issues, right? Like it fucking sucks, guys. Therapy is not fun. You know what I'm saying? Like until we're just like in a session, we're just having like a fun time in session or whatever. But like it's not always fun. I
love therapy actually.
Well, you love that. Yeah, Joe loves therapy. Joe loves therapy.
I just want to know. I want to know what I don't know.
Loves therapy, but sometimes it's not fun. If your therapist is good at what they do, sometimes it's really fucking not fun, And so that went on for some time. Now, understand this is like throughout a span again of like 14 to the age that I am now, which is 39. That I've been in and out or consistently with therapy working on literally this same issue because I was such a stubborn. Like kid who just like didn't want to let the anger go. Like I was like, I'm going to be angry at my mom and abuse her for all these things because she left, and if anyone's ever experienced this and you're aware of it, understand that's your inner child and inner teenager coming out. Okay. That's your inner child and inner teen. All right. Very emotional. Okay. Because if we're irrational, we're coming from the emotional part of the brain, everyone. Okay. So that's what that was. I don't care. I don't like her.
Even if like you knew that you should be doing.
Oh, understand. I knew. Right. And especially because I was going through school during this time and then I was very green in the field during this time, still working on myself. I knew what the hell, now I didn't know as much, I would say probably then that obviously I do now because I've been in the field now since 2006. So, now I can pick up on something very, very quickly. But back then I was still like, oh, okay, yeah, I know this, but, but like back and forth.
I feel like it took us having our daughter and your mom moving closer to us to really... for you to be forced into execution of all the knowledge that you had gained.
There were two important critical points in my life where I'll tell you when things started to change. One was, I would say probably back in 2010 or 11, something like that. I went to go leave the country to go visit one of my best friends in France. And I had 3 dogs at the time by myself and I had no one to watch them because someone had bailed last minute. And please understand at this time, you guys, in 2010 or 2011, my mother was like the last person that I would ask for anything. Okay. Like it's always dad. So last person, but at that moment, she was the only person, so I was like, all right, let me try my mom, so I hit her up. I called her, told her the situation. And to my surprise, she actually said yes, which I didn't think she was. And she decided to make it a vacation with her and her sister. So they came out and stayed with my dogs while I was gone for about 2 weeks. When I came back, I felt obligated to speak to my mom because she helped me, you know? So because of that, I started kind of calling her more often. Prior to this time, you guys, in 2010 or 11, I could probably go a year without speaking to her and was fine. But when I use was fine, I'm saying that with quotes around it. Quote unquote, was fine, right?
And then from then until not too long ago, like I feel as though you got to like a certain level and you were like okay with that. That's where we're at.
I was okay, right. I was okay with that level because at this point she was living in New York and I was in Florida. So for me, I felt fine, quote unquote. And let's be clear of what fine means. Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's what fine. That's what fine means. Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. So I felt quote unquote fine, right? And was like, okay, like I could do this. I could speak to her a little bit more. Blah blah blah. She's gone. I don't have to see her, but like once a year, and that was my comfort level. So what happened was, I called her one time. We were speaking. She was playing these old tapes of when I was a kid to me on the phone. And this is the first time that I remember hearing my mother in a positive light being a mom, if that makes sense. So I was listening to the tapes and I heard her and she was so like loving and like nurturing and like just like wonderful. And I was just like, oh my God. So I instantly start crying. And my mom, actually, at this point, my mom actually wasn't crying, which is very weird because my mom is extremely emotional. But she didn't cry, which I appreciated. And she told me that she knows that I'm angry at her. And if I feel better being angry with her for the rest of my life, then that's okay. As long as I'm happy and I'm okay.
Yeah, that's what your mom was really good at. She was good at like taking all your shit.
Right.
And just being like, well, it is
right.
what it is.
But when she said that, at that time, I remember processing. See, the great thing about being a therapist to you guys is that even if, let's say, we're not in therapy, we have lots of colleagues and mentors, and so who I utilize today to this day. So, you know, I use them to really kind of be a soundboard or process things with because I trust them. So at that time, I was processing that with my supervisors, mentors, etc. And I was so shocked because I was like, wait a minute, this woman is going to be willing to have me treat her like shit. And if that makes me happy, she's fine with that. What? Like, this is insane. And it was actually that moment that I realized that I was abusive. I was like, oh my God, I am so abusive to her. This is like awful, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's when I started really changing my tune and adjusting a bit, but I still had stuff. You know, there was still stuff. So I adjusted a bit. I spoke to her more often, because again, she was far away. I didn't have to see her, so I felt comfortable. Leading up until when I got pregnant. And so, our daughter's only 17 months, going to be 18 months, okay? So, and I was pregnant for 9, you know? So this is all just like recent stuff still.
Yeah, and even when she was born, it was still a process.
Still a process, you guys.
I'd say up until less than a year ago.
Yeah, still a process. So when I got pregnant, and really in like the later stage of my pregnancy, when we were figuring out who was going to come to the hospital and be there with me. And of course I wanted my dad there because my dad is my number one. He's the one that raised us. That's my fucking boy. You know, so, you know, I really wanted him there, and I don't know why, but he couldn't. Oh, because if he came, because he was like, well, I'm going to come for your birthday. And she was born in November. My birthday's in December. So it was all like, you know. Yeah. So anyway, but guess who came? My mom. And not only did my mom come, she came, she stayed with us for like 2 months. She helped me. Mm-hmm. She taught me things. Now understand, this was all new for me, guys, because prior to this, I could not spend more than an hour with this woman. And not
also, by the
way,
way, you're like, I was very
yes
adamant about your mother being here. You actually wanted to kind of do it without her. And I was like, we need somebody.
I did. Right. I was like, I'm not having her here, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, we need help. We need someone to help us. And I was like, begrudgingly, I was just like, fine, right? So I spoke to my sister who has 3 kids, and my mom was there for all of my nieces, and my sister was like, look, Mom, something happens to her, and she just like really shines in this area, like, so you're gonna want her around, and I was like, okay, fine, blah, blah, blah. Now, during this time leading up to Soul being born, remember, I started having conversations with my mom, really deep ones. And I started having these like conversations just about like my feelings towards her. And, so I was opening up a lot more. We were having some good talks. Some of them, she really didn't want to hear some of the stuff I had to say.
Most of the time they didn't end very well. They just kind of were just, all right, well, that's how you feel. Like,
they didn't end well until, I will say, closer to Soul coming. We had a conversation and I finally told my mom, like, just like what it is. That really just like what it is. And that started becoming, sorry, Euro.
This guy, what?
Oh my God. He's like licking his, be quiet. I know this is going to sound like TMI, but when dogs lick their paws, it sounds like they're like eating vagina.
Sit. Here, come in here.
It does. It sounds like they're freaking going down on someone.
Lay down.
Like a sloppy going downer. Euro, sit the heck down and stop licking. God. So anyway, so this was happening. My mom came and Soul was born. And throughout this is a process, you guys. This isn't like an over the night thing, okay? Like change takes time, also depending on how your brain processed information, depending on the person. I don't know how long it's going to take someone to get through something, okay? But I know that evolution takes time, change takes time. So this is a process, So while she was staying with us, there were some moments where, like where Esther would come out. And what I mean by that is, my mom, I'm not saying it's all her because I have stuff too, but at this point, I think I was also learning how to just like be honest with her and just communicate. I thought I was being assertive, and I think Joe, he would call me out sometimes and be like, "You're a little aggressive."
You were like mean.
Yeah.
Said things. You could have said things in a different
way. Totally.
And because your mom's so like sensitive and emotional, she would kind of take it and
right.
Well, but she doesn't say anything right away. Though.
Right.
She just like takes it in, and then but that she's like kind of like hurt.
Right. Or she'll like she's very all or nothing. Or it's like I would say something or whatever, and then like
okay, fine,
right, and then she'd be like, okay, then. Fine, well then I'll leave forever. It's like this like dramatic thing, and it's like, oh my God, So anyway, so we went through that back and forth, but then I had postpartum when I was pregnant.
Oh yeah.
And Joe was actually gone. I think you went away for work during this time, so it was just me and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were going to work, so you were gone for the whole day. So it was me and my mom all day, and I went through some serious depression because of the postpartum. And when my mom actually left to go stay at her friend's house for a little, I remember I was like crying. I was like, oh my God, like I felt this like need for her. I think.
Well, you
like,
realized that like she was helping a lot.
I realized that she was helping and she didn't have to. That was the thing, like, and I was like, man, she's like here, like showing up, like, and understand, I haven't experienced this. At least my brain has not allowed me to remember. Okay, so that was the starting point too, when I was like, this is interesting, Yeah.
And this is, let me stop for a second. This is exactly why I think people, like anybody else, if you've ever known somebody going through something or whatever, you can always say from an outside perspective, oh, well, this is what's going on, and look at this, and why don't you just do X, Y, and Z, right? And what Aaliyah is describing right now is the internal turmoil and the blocks of why you just can't do these
get
things.
Through it, yeah.
Because I mean, I remember watching all this, and I'm like, I know exactly what's happening here, who's doing what needs to happen, and how it's all going to play out. But
and I'm like, so do I.
And she does too, yeah, because she knows like, better than anybody.
I was like, so do I. However,
but I just had to kind of sit back and just, every once in a while, just encourage or support or like just say, hey, maybe you could have said that a little different or something like that, and then at some point it's just the switch flicked or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Things changed.
Yeah, well, things changed not so much at that point, but things were happening during that point.
Yeah, it was
I
like
gaining,
every couple months.
Yeah, I was like
there was
learning something. I had gained some insight. You and I would talk about it. I'd have this whole like revelation. So it was like little big moments happening like every couple weeks, of just like all this insight, So that was contributing to the change. My mom then moved from New York to here. So then she lives in Hollywood. And I remember going to and saying, this is the fucking universe. The one person in the world at this point in my life, you guys, the one person in the world who I did not want to live near was my mom. And then it's like she was injected into my life. Mm-hmm. And then I had my daughter, which made me even more like, I have to have her in my life because that's her grandmother. And so it was like everything that I thought I never wanted was happening.
Yeah. And it was all being injected or forced into your life.
It was wild.
For a reason. And if you could have taken it from a different perspective and been pissed off about it or whatever. Instead, I think that's when you took it and went the positive route and was like,
because at that point I was like, this is happening for a reason.
Right.
Like, this is the universe basically giving me the opportunity or like a test, right? Because like we have these life tests, you guys, and it was it was that moment where I was like, I am going to grow from this and learn shit about myself. So I got to just like run with it.
Usually when things quote unquote get like worse or whatever you've been dealing with, it's actually probably getting better because you're going to get to that point of like chaos before it gets better.
So I'm so glad you said that because people think it's always like this, like straight up, like, oh, everything's going to be wonderful. I'm changing. But you guys, change goes like visualize like a ladder for a second. And then like if you kind of see yourself walking up, 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 then I'm going to go down, down, down. Then I'm going to go up, 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 up. Then I'm going to go down, down. Okay? Like, that's change, okay? Like, that's how that goes.
Like 2 steps forward, 1 step back?
It's always going to be like up, 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 down, 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 So the point that really did it for me, I think that took everything that I was learning, all the insight that I was gaining, everything was October 13th, October 12th, 2020, because that was when just before our wedding, because shit hit the fan. Shit hit the fan, everyone. So on October 12th, okay, Joe and I got married October 14th, and as you all can know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, weddings are already stressful.
Hold on. We got married the October 16th.
Oh my God.
It hasn't even been a year yet.
Oh my
God.
October 16th. Jesus. Who the hell is October 14th is my best friend's birthday. And that's why. And then my dad's birthday is the 17th. No, it's too much going on in October, Joe. Oh my God, I'm sorry. So October 16th, we got married. And then it was then probably the 14th and then all this happened. So, so basically there was a lot going on with the wedding. We had to change everything up because of freaking COVID. And we had to have a smaller wedding. So only a certain amount of people were coming at this point. Anyway, my father's birthday is the 17th. Oh my God. Euro just farted so bad. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Jeez Louise. So my father's 70th birthday was on the 17th. Our wedding was on the 16th. So on the 17th, we planned like, oh my God, I can't even talk.
It's like one of those hot ones.
It's like a bomb, like a fart bomb. Oh my God. It won't get out of here. So we planned a big thing for my father's 70th birthday on the 17th, and we decided to do like a boat ride, have some drinks on a boat, have fun, da-da-da. Now, going into this wedding, there was already a plan that my mother was going to watch Soul while we were getting married, right? Right. While we were doing things or having events for ourselves, she was going to watch Soul. My parents are divorced. Let me also state that. They've been divorced since I was like separated since I was 10, divorced since I was like 18. Okay. So, in my mind, when we planned this event for my dad, because my mom had also said she was going to watch Soul, I didn't think to invite her on the boat.
But your mom and dad are very close friends still. Like, they've never not
They're
been
really good friends.
So, like, and I always think about this too. Back then, like, you would never invite your mom to, like, things that were, like, family things that
I never wanted,
probably wanted to go to.
I never. You know?
So, but anyway, so this was one of those moments.
Yeah,
and,
this was one of those moments.
I was thinking, like, well, she probably wants to come to this.
Right.
And
my inner teen kicked in, and I was just like, well, I'm not.
Oh, you were on freaking level 10.
I was on a whole
teenager because, like, it's your day and everything's about you.
Really,
and it should be, but, like, at the same time, you got to, like, think of other people sometimes.
It was really just big. So I was like, Joe was like, you're not going to invite your mom? And I was like, no. For what? She's watching Soul, right? I was like, why? I was like, that's my dad's 70th birthday. I don't have to invite her to everything, blah, 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 you know? And then my sister was here, a part of this too. And my sister and I, when we get together, because my sister has her own issues with our mom, we, like, feed off each other with that shit, right? So anyway, I called my mom and told her about the boat trip and was like, hey, can you watch Soul, blah, 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 or something like that, right? Mm. And so my mom was like, yes, I'll watch her. Like, no big deal. Okay, fine, cool. The next day or something like that, we speak on the phone. And this is literally the day, like, before the wedding, before we're leaving. No, the day before we're leaving to Key West, okay, for the wedding. She wants to bring up this conversation. So she asks, hey, can I ask you why you didn't invite me to the boat? And I was like, well, you said that you were going to be watching Soul. So how can I invite you to the boat if you already agreed that you were going to be watching Soul? That just I can't invite the babysitter to a fucking function. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that just makes no sense. So I was like, well, so I explained that to her. And she was like, well, you know, I mean, it would have been nice to just be invited. And I was just like, okay. So now I'm not saying anything because on the inside, I'm just like getting frustrated because, again, it's my wedding, it's my day, right? Then she brings up, why didn't I invite Carlos, which is her husband. And understand something, you guys. I don't know if any of you have blended families or whatever, stepfathers or whatever. I don't really consider him a stepfather. He's just my mom's husband. But, like, I didn't think to invite him because he's my mom's husband. I don't know. I was just like in my head, they're a package deal, you know, like it's her and him. So for me, I wasn't going to have my mom watch Soul and then invite him and then have her all alone with the baby. And she's the only one not coming on the boat.
Oh, you're so thoughtful.
Okay. So basically that was the whole thing. So this conversation led into a whole, like, argument, like we were so then I hung up on her because I couldn't really take it anymore.
Oh, so that's what you guys were bugging out about on the wedding day?
No, the wedding day was something else. But this was leading up to the wedding day. This is all leading up to it.
You're really getting into detail about all this.
Yeah, it's leading. It's all leading up. But anyway, so that happened. Then my sister comes into town. I talked to my sister about it. She talks to anyway, this whole entire thing spiraled into a huge argument, and now the past is being brought up. Right? The past is getting thrown at my mom. My sister's like, well, maybe she's angry because you were never there. And then it's like all this shit. This is all happening before the wedding, everyone. Okay.
Like on the wedding day.
Oh my God. Then it just, it bled over to the wedding day because my mom didn't show up to watch Soul, right? Because she was pissed off. Right. So she was pissed. So she did some whole, like, probably like, I'm not going to show up. So she didn't show up to watch my daughter. I'm trying to get dressed and all that. It was a mess. It was
all this is going on. I'm with my buddy just like drinking.
Yeah, he's having a great time. Like, great time. I'm like stressed out, right? My mom finally shows up. All my friends are there. We're all dressed and getting ready. She strolls in and then she's like, oh, hey, do you want me to take the baby? Like, what? And at this point, I'm like, no, I don't want you. Right. Like 2 hours later, I was so pissed. So anyway, got married. That was beautiful. When we came back...
You don't even remember the day. It's whatever.
Right. When we came back from Key West... it took me probably about, I would say, a week to talk to my mom in a way that I can speak to her and not, like, not be mean, not flip out, like nothing like that. Because I was like, if I'm going to address this, I want to address this in a more rational like state of mind, right? So I let myself process some stuff. A week goes by. I speak to my mom. She was here, and I spoke about the wedding, and I said, I do want to go out with you and be able to talk about deeper issues that we clearly have. But I have to tell you, I'm still really upset about the wedding. And then I just kind of told her why, right? Very assertive, very calm. There was no argument. We actually had a really great talk. So after that,
because I think you both had like logical reasons of like both being upset.
Well, no, this is what happened. I realized in that conversation with my mother that she had absolutely zero insight into anything that she does. Like zero. Like she had no idea. Like remember when
she didn't
was
realize
like,
how it was affecting you. Right?
No. Yeah. What I mean by that is, do you remember at the wedding where everybody saw how guarded she was and how like angry she was and how whatever she was, right? Everybody saw it. When I brought that up to her,
she's like, "What?"
She had no idea. Yeah. And it wasn't like a fake I have no idea. It was like a real I have no idea. And so it was that moment that I was like, "Oh shit. She like really fucking doesn't know." Like, she's just like living life, just, you know, like being who she is, doing what she does. And like, she just does now. I guess she has a choice as an adult. She can go to therapy and figure some shit out, but whatever. It's not my, you know, like that's on her. Right. But I realized she really doesn't know. So how can I sit here, right, and go off on someone or whatever and do that? And they have no idea. Like, she doesn't even know. And so then the clinical part of me came in at that point. And
also, like, this goes for, like, just anybody.
Yeah.
You never know what somebody's aware of about themselves or not, you know?
Never know. You think you know, and then we come up with all these assumptions in our own minds that we're like, they know what they're doing. And it's like, maybe not, you know? Right. And I'm not saying that it makes it better, but for me, it provided me with more of an understanding of, like, she's not doing this personally, right? Like,
you were taking it personal.
Like, I was taking it personal. It's like, she really fucking has no idea, you know? Right. And so then the clinical glasses came on, and it was that moment that I was like, all right, I'm going to look at this from a very different angle.
Yeah, for sure. Since after the wedding, that's when everything started.
Changed everything.
Which is not that long. It was like 8 months ago or something.
So I also want to make something clear. I said to you guys that I started doing therapy, let's say, about the mom issue when I was 14 years old. My dad had us in therapy, in and out, okay? I want you to understand, therapy is something that does not happen instantly. Meaning, you could have went to therapy when you were 15. Maybe you didn't implement stuff or whatever. Then you go back when you're 30, and maybe the shit that you learned when you were 15 or whatever made sense now at 30. Okay. Yeah. Like, and now you're like, oh shit, that's what that meant. Or, oh shit, I did have low self-esteem. Or, oh shit. Okay. Like, so that's how therapy is. It's a very like sneaky, like long kind of, and it'll hit you at a random moment, and every fucking thing that you learned will make sense in that moment. Okay.
Yeah, also you have to be willing to like learn these things about yourself and like understand everything about you and why you feel certain ways. A lot of people don't want to get into that until they're ready, whenever that is, you know. Right,
exactly, you know. But I wanted to be clear with that, because a common question that I'll get from many people in therapy is like, how long is this going to take? Or like, what do I do now? Or like, what do I do to, you know? And I'm like, understand, like, we don't have the key. Like, there's no master key. So I can't just tell you, oh, you just do this and that's it, right? Like, this is how it works. Like, you're in a car driving to work one morning and you hear a song, and I don't know, something in the fucking song triggers some shit you learned back in like 2012, and it's like, bam. Okay. So that's just how this works. So, from that point on, gained insight, had more clarity about things. And then it got to a point where I became more open with her, meaning I started realizing that I didn't, like, I processed enough stuff. I, worked on some more stuff, processed lots of feelings, lots of thoughts, etc. And I got to a place of like acceptance, really, of just kind of accepting that.
For who she is.
Accepting her for who she is, accepting that what she did, meaning her leaving at that time, had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with my sister. Had nothing, you know. My mother also suffers from mental health issues, so that's a piece. And that was something that I didn't understand back then, you know.
Well, we all suffer from mental health issues, don't we?
No, sorry. She suffers from like a mental health disorder.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So well, she has major depressive disorder.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean that's MDD. So anyway, so that's a big piece as well, you know. So anyway, I started kind of like understanding stuff from a different perspective, different angle. It made more sense to me, worked on stuff, and then it got to a point where not only did I accept her for who she is and accept the situation, but I wanted to really just start to get to know her. Because for me, in my mind, I said to myself, I feel like I don't know you, and I need to understand your life and your upbringing so that it makes more sense to me.
Right. So, over the past few months, it's been more about like what were your parents?
Yeah.
Asking her
So over the
her
past
parents
few
were
months,
like,
yeah,
how she was raised,
so,
and you start realizing a lot of things.
Oh my God! So I've been learning all this stuff about her life, and I still have more to learn. Which I'm very excited to, because everything makes, and again, I think for me, I don't know if for me it's different because on a clinical level, everything makes sense, right? So it just makes sense now. Now I'm like, oh, this is why she does that. Oh, this is why. Oh, okay, this is what, you know, like, and so now I don't even see it as any other thing besides like, oh, okay, like now I get what the hell's going on.
Honestly, I think that that's some good advice for basically everybody to like understand your parents and where they came from, because we grow up and they're just these people that were always there, that have done whatever right way or wrong way that they knew best or whatever, and if later in life you decide to kind of have these deep conversations with them, how are you raised, what was your dad like, what was whatever, you start to understand they're just people. They were kids one time. They only learned so much stuff in their life, and they're trying to like transfer that over to you. But that doesn't mean that they're like geniuses and know every right, perfect way to do everything, right? And you realize this as you get older and as you have conversations with them about their lives. Everybody's just human, right? And everybody makes mistakes, and you'll have a better relationship with them and anybody else that you get to really get to know. Right. You know?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, cut to today, I love my mom. I always did love her. That never went away. I think she's great. I think she's funny. We have movie nights now together every Thursday when she sleeps over, because she watches my daughter while I'm at the office and while Joe's gone. We just left her house yesterday. So I just see her in a very different light. And
yeah, it's like night and day, and all that was because of you, really.
Oh yeah.
Because you just changed your perspective on the whole situation. She's basically who she's always been, right? She hasn't changed much. She has a little bit more insight on herself, and she's aware of how you feel about her and the whole dynamics of everything. Right. So, but for the most part, it was like you figuring all this out and being able to see it from a different perspective.
Yeah, let me be clear, guys. The issue in this whole story wasn't my mom. I want to be clear. The issue in this whole story was me. And I say that because it's not going to be anybody, especially when we're older. Okay, so like I'll say, when I was a kid, right, I had no control over anything. When we're kids, no one has control over anything. So shit just happens and it sucks, right? But as an adult, you guys, like, we have the opportunity and the decisions to make to either hold on to something or let it go. Okay? So the whole time that I was so this wasn't even a mom issue. It was my fucking issue. You know? And I had to get to that point. My mom can't go back in time and change what she did. It fucking happened. You know? I had to work on that. So that was my issue. A lot of people like to blame, you know? And I think I was doing that even for a while, especially when I was younger, you know. But it's not about blaming. There's no one to blame. Yeah, you know, there's no one to blame. So that's it today. That's where we're at today. But I share that because I really I really do hope that whoever listens to this, if anyone can relate or is going through something like that, that you could gain some insight from this in some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of what I hope for. But or it just sparks something in you. I have no idea, but I want to be honest. I want to be open. I want to be transparent. I'm all about not lying and being open and honest. Again, as a clinician to a certain degree, I will say, right? I'm very open about this stuff because I think it's very like this is real shit. This is a lot of stuff that everyone goes through. So I have no problem doing that.
I just posted something the other day on our convenient Instagram. I think it was, I might mess up the word, but basically it was like, do you believe that you are upset or angry because somebody made you that way, or because you choose to be that way? Right? It's the answer is you choose to be that way. Mm-hmm. Nobody can actually make you upset or hurt or anything if you choose to not allow it to.
No one has that much power unless you allow them to have that much power. That's what that is.
Right.
That's what that, and that's to like even like make this example more, that goes the same, you guys, too, for anything like if anyone's been abused, raped, whatever it may be, okay? Understand. I want to be clear. Let's say, again, something happened to you years ago or when you were a child or whatever, okay? I get it. You had no control over those situations, right? And that's understandable. However, what you do have control over is the ability to either let it go, meaning work on it, process, right? Get to a healthier mental space about it, or hold on to it, because there's nothing you can do about that moment. The moment happened.
Holding on to it is like you're only hurting yourself. That person is whoever did these things to you. They're living their life, probably not even thinking about it, right? But you're the one hurting yourself, I think. Would I be correct in saying that?
Of course, yeah. I mean, you end up hurting yourself because you're holding on to all this stuff that you can't do anything about. It happened.
Because imagine, like, there's so much energy and time spent on, like, thinking about this or feeling it or whatever, that imagine if that wasn't there anymore. You would have so much, you could bring in other energy and better positive thoughts or whatever, and fill your life with different energy. You can choose to fill your life with different energy.
And what's cool about that is that I'm now actually experiencing that.
Yeah.
In terms of like when I talk, because there's been other things in my life that like, obviously I've worked on or whatever and like let go of, and it's always cleared space. It's always cleared mental and emotional space, and I've always felt lighter. But this particular topic for me in my life has been most likely the heaviest.
Yeah.
And so when I got to the place where I am right now, oh my God, I've been noticing. I'm like happier.
And it's
I'm
so
like
much easier too.
Oh my God, it's so much easier.
Like
I'm less stressed. It's like,
for example, like you being annoyed with something, the way your mom does something or says something, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That takes so much more energy.
Yeah.
And like the whole time she's at the house, you're like thinking about that one
thing. Yeah, like one thing. Right.
Like, and now you've replaced that with just being like, well, there's mom. And it's like a funny thought. And then you like, then you have all this other space for bringing in whatever else happens in that day.
Yeah. Well, I don't personalize anything anymore. I don't attach any irrational, right? Like thoughts to it. Now everything's rational. I'm processing stuff out. I don't look at it as like, oh, she's doing this. I just look at it as she's just being who she is.
Being who she's always been.
Yeah. She's being
and now
who
it's just
she
kind
is.
of funny if you see it like that.
Well, for me it is, and her it is, because she's a trip. She really is, So I don't even think she knows how funny she actually really is.
Yeah. So
your journey.
So that took about an hour.
That's my journey. My journey.
Well, I won't, get so detailed into things. I mean, I've got my own personal journey. I mean, that was a specific, you went with your mom, which for you actually was
You have a personal
lifespan
journey
thing.
with your dad.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
It has been a life thing. You just fucking found out.
Yeah, but hold on. But I've sorted that out a long time ago as far as
No, you haven't. As far as understanding
myself and changing my perspective.
But you're still bothered by it today.
Well,
you are still bothered by it today.
Yeah, but my bothered is different. My bothered is because I feel bad for him, and I want him to see things in a different perspective.
Do you feel bad? Because I got to tell you, when you talk about it, it's a lot of complaining and it's a lot of frustration.
It's frustration because he doesn't execute on what we discussed.
Why doesn't he execute?
All right, and then this is the newfound knowledge. So I mean, well, let me give a brief background on the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. So growing up, whatever, my dad was. Listen, and I'll get to the point that we were talking about. Right. So he drank and partied and stuff, and you know, life. I had a good life growing up. My mom was always there. My dad was always there. He worked at nights and stuff like that. But he was like that kind of. Dad wasn't around all the time because he worked night shifts, but we would, we'd go away for a week, just like me and him, and we'd go to like New Hampshire or whatever. Anyways, like there's no like bad things, but I did realize by his actions, just by him living his life the way that he lived it, it did affect me in all kinds of ways that you wouldn't even like imagine. As I got older, just like little things like him and my mom, they had issues, probably when I was like 9 or 10, they kind of started maybe falling out of love with each other and things like that, so they weren't really like lovey and kissy all the time, but they didn't like hate each other or anything. They were just, there wasn't a lot of expression of that, which down the road led to me, being in my early 20s and just not really appreciating relationships and, having a bunch of different girlfriends and stuff like that. So we could really get in deep like that, but that's not what I'm like discussing here. So anyways, a lot of that stuff, the majority of all these things for me, I kind of went a different route than Aaliyah. I did do some therapy, couples therapy, when I was like in my late 20s, because I was in a relationship that's when I was like trying to like change my ways and stuff. And then that kind of like kicked things off. And then I went more of the spiritual route and found this numerologist and worked with him for a year straight. And that I kind of went just the more spiritual route,
which worked for you so well.
Which led to the same conclusions that you would get from
therapy. Mm-hmm.
And this is another good point, right?
Yeah,
like there are different methods of sorting your life out and understanding yourself. Some people might go to Costa Rica and do a week of ayahuasca or something, and that might be great for them, or
the toad,
or standard therapy or spiritual enlightenment, numerology or some sort of astrology or cards, even tarot cards. But it's a commitment, though. Like, you can't just like go and it's just like one day and you're gonna figure everything out. Even with the like ayahuasca, I think it's a whole process with multiple days. That's the accelerated course, I think. If you're into that and you want to just figure shit out like today, but there's a lot of internal expedited work with that. I think my process was pretty expedited, but it still took some time, right? So anyways, so I go through this whole process. I basically, at the end of that, I kind of really, it's got a lot to do with meditation and just understanding yourself and why you are upset at things and who's causing these pains and stuff like that. And you start figuring out that it's all you. It's just you. Like, you are the one that creates your world, and however you feel like thinking about it is how you're going to think about it. And So I changed a lot of that, like in my late 20s, early 30s, humongous shift. Um, and then I just had more room to actually be the better person that I wanted to be. So getting back to my dad, so what I realized, the main thing I realized through this numerology was, I was always like lying about dumb things, like little things, not things that were like, oh, you like stole money from me or something like that, like about just not wanting to hurt people's feelings. So I would say something that I thought that they would like better than what actually happened. And I realized that I got that from my dad. And that was a humongous, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I went through a little period where I was kind of resentful to him. But that didn't last very long for me. It was like literally like a month, and then I was over it. And then I just accepted him for who he's been and who he has become. And he's a great guy. He's a very nice guy. You know, take his shirt off your back at any moment, give it to a bum on the street, you know, if they needed it, that type of guy. So I did learn a lot of good qualities from him. But there were some things that stuck with me. Now, once I figured all that stuff out, then it was about seeing him for who he is and being like, wow, like, you know, he's such a great guy. I wish he would live his life a little differently, you know. But then once I started to understand where he comes from, how he was raised, and you know, what maybe thoughts and ideas that he's suppressing that may have happened to him in the past, like I started.
And this is just recent too.
And this part of it is pretty recent.
Yeah.
And I'm still like talking to him more and asking him questions about his past and stuff like that. And you know, I've come to find out that he is suppressing a lot of maybe childhood trauma with drugs and alcohol and stuff, right? Now, trauma also, to me, maybe his trauma is just like trivial or whatever, but to him, it could be this thing that is like has changed his whole life. And this can happen for anybody. There can be people that think like, oh, they remember this one time where they maybe, you know, their parents like hit them or something, right? Well,
I don't think your father sees any of the things though as traumatic.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't realize it, but obviously
he doesn't choose for what, right? But he also, I mean, he struggles too also because there's a blocker there, so he's not going to. Right.
And he uses alcohol to stop him from like actually thinking about the choices that he's made in life and et cetera, right? So then I'm going back and forth, and I'm seeing him more often now, and I start talking to Leah about this stuff, and she's like, "Well, I mean, there's alcoholism there," and I'm like, "Yes, he does drink, but he doesn't drink every day." So my thought initially,
you went into rationalizing.
Yeah. Now this is important for anybody that wants to really understand, you know, any level of alcoholism, like what we're about to say now is
or addiction, same thing.
Any kind of addiction, is very important, because I didn't realize a lot of these things. When I think of a alcoholic, I think most people do, of like somebody that drinks all the time. They're drunk. They're just like falling on themselves. They can't like hold down a job or relationships or whatever. Like, and they're just at the bar all the time, right? That's what you think of a classic alcoholic. Now that is one alcoholic, right? What I found out through Aaliyah is there are multiple alcoholics, and maybe you can discuss that a little bit, like
just levels or just intensity. I guess. Well, because so alcoholism and addiction, there's phases of it, and there's different like levels of it. Meaning, you can have the stereotype level where, let's say, right, what Joe said, right, like someone is, you know, missing work and and you know, getting DUIs
every day,
and, you know, right, like all these things, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is happening, because that stuff that's happening is loud. It's loud and it's in your face, okay? So when it happens, it's big and everybody remembers it and sees it. However, you also have those alcoholics, addicts who, let's say, don't portray as that because maybe they're binge drinking. And because they're binge drinking, people are more likely to just rationalize for them or minimize the drinking. Or they're able to be like, oh, well, like I still go to work every day and I still do this and blah, blah, blah. And, I haven't stolen anything. I haven't had any legal issues. And that's when people, even in their minds, will rationalize it and say that they're okay.
And
but
some of those people will even like stop drinking for like a month at a time. And
that's binge drinking, right?
Yeah.
So understand though, binge drinking, you guys, okay, still falls under that category, okay, of let's say some type of alcoholism addiction happening in some way, shape, or form, okay? It falls under like the umbrella, all right? I mean, honestly, actually, I think even in the, I have to look in the DSM-5 right now, but I remember it was either DSM-4 or DSM-5, one of them.
What's that DSM?
Oh, sorry, yeah. The DSM is a diagnostic manual that clinicians use to properly make diagnoses.
Okay.
And addiction's in there, abuse is in there, and they played around with that for a while. So they went back and forth, they took some stuff out, put some stuff in. But so I forgot
the therapy gods?
Whoever makes the book, right? The board, the associations. Anyway, so at one point though, one of the definitions was so vague that it's almost like, well, everyone's a fucking alcoholic. That like they literally made, and it was like, Jesus. I still go by just like the good old fashioned, old time definition. I don't really go by that. But so anyway, so there's binge drinking. There's someone who can be in the early phase of addiction, okay, and not the later phase, and still minimize it and rationalize because again, they haven't had any repercussions yet. So therefore, to them, they're like, everything's fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what was happening with your dad, is because your dad's not an all the time person. He's a binger. He'll go back and forth. But what sold me with it, meaning what got me with it, and what I led you to see was that. But in those times, those weeks or whatever that your dad is not drinking, how is his mood?
Right, and depressed.
Right, and so alcohol is a depressant, everyone. Okay, so it doesn't help depression, it fucking makes it worse. Right.
So yeah, so like if he doesn't drink now, it's at the point now, if he doesn't drink, then yeah, he can only go so many days, and then I guess in his mind he thinks if he goes and drinks, he's going to feel happy again, which he probably does.
Which he does in those moments.
Because it's actually it's like reversed, right? Like, so the alcohol, it's like withdrawal.
So it's like the after, it's the aftermath. Just like with alcohol and anxiety as well, not a great mix. If you have anxiety and you drink, most likely you'll notice that your anxiety may increase the next day when you're hungover or something like that, or days later. So
yeah. So that's kind of where we're at, and I don't know what I'm like trying to do. I think
you're just learning more in terms of your dad, and in terms of just because for you, this is what has been the issue with your dad. When I first met you, there was lots of, number one, there was lots of enabling. I think a lot of people in your family enabled, and you guys didn't even really see it like that because of just, you've been doing it for so long, But I think the other part of it is that you get very frustrated when you, in your mind, are like, just do this. I don't understand why you can't just do this.
Yeah.
And then if someone's not doing something that Joe looks at as easy, he's like, I don't understand. Like, just, I don't, like, this is an easy thing.
It's not so much that either. It's about, like, I'll have multiple discussions over the course of several months.
But guess what? If someone's an alcoholic, you guys are an addict. Do you know how you think that having multiple conversations with them is just going to what?
Well, yes, it makes it way more difficult. I mean, even having those types of conversations with somebody that's not an alcoholic is tough if they're not willing to actually like do the work. So like, you have conversations about like, hey, and really I only bring up conversations when somebody's complaining about their life, right? And the conversation just evolves from there. Well, why are you unhappy about this? And they point the finger at other outward things, right? And I'm like, no, it's not that.
Well, this is why I always tell you to stop doing that.
Right.
And I tell you to stop doing that because, again, even if someone comes into my office and they're complaining, and I know that they're frequent complainers, if and I'm sure I have, like when I do the whole like, okay, stop, because I'll stop and I'll try and redirect, right? Or I'll put it back on them. And if they still deflect and go back to that, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not really, do you know what I'm saying? Like, because we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not going to constantly come at you and challenge something all the time and then work harder than you. Fuck that. In therapy, just to be clear, you guys, your therapist should not be working harder than you.
Right.
It should be fucking 60-40, meaning you're giving 60 and I'm giving 40.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, where I'm at is...
Growth, insight.
Yeah, it's really more for me, really.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do... Like, I'm coming to the same conclusion as Leah has, where...
Acceptance
just is
into
what it
who,
is.
right, into just it is.
And it's sad. Mine's probably a little bit more sad because we all know the outcome of somebody that is depressed and drinks all the time or often, right? They, you know where they're going.
Yeah.
And I know that he has like a lot more energy and
such potential too.
Potential to provide the world, you know.
Because your dad was a hustler.
Yeah. And, you know, it is what it is. I still probably will continue to plant seeds the best I can, if I can, throughout conversations, and hopefully things change around. You know, I think he's heading out to Hawaii with my sister here soon, and I think a new environment can change a lot of things, a different perspective of how you see life.
Different perspective, right? But you bring you wherever you go, right?
Right. That's not going to change, and that's the other conversation that we're currently
having now, right?
It's like he's like, well, when I get out there, it's going to be, man, we're going to be. I'm like, well, are you taking your brain with you? Because
that's still there.
That's not going away. He just thinks like all these thoughts, and they probably will for like the first 6 months to a year, because he will distract himself with new things and going out here and experiencing new things. But at some point, all that stuff's going to pile back on. Yeah. And he's going to be in the exact same position except sitting on a beach in Hawaii, which is, I guess, a little bit better than freezing your butt off north, up north. But that's where we're at, really. And
that's where we're at.
And me, for myself, I'm content with it. It's obviously when it's your family and you care about them. There's, I don't know. For me, there's like this level of like,
well, it's an emotional piece.
Yeah, a small part of it, like, and I've been able to like, you can't get rid of it. It's like it's still there. It's like you care about them and want to see better for them. Mm-hmm. So, but with somebody that is unwilling to execute on their own, you kind of just have to keep that little pellet and put it somewhere, and that's it. You can't just disintegrate that. Right. I mean, I guess you could, but I would have to completely detach, like. Really just never talk to him.
Well, no, there's still a balance with that, but I think you struggle with that. Well, no, I think you're actually kind of going there now. So we have detaching guys, and then we have detaching with love. Okay. So let's say in the alcoholic addict population, in Al-Anon, for the loved ones of addicts, which I actually also have been to because I had an ex when I was 20, who I was with for 5 years, who actually was an addict.
Which I heard was great for people that have...
Al-Anon's amazing. Al-Anon's amazing. And they talk a lot about detaching with love, you know, and detaching with love is basically, so I love you, you're here, I will be here to support you on a emotional or mental level. But that is it. And only if you ask for it.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like because you make your own choices and your own decisions.
Well, here's the other thing, too, with this, is I can have those conversations. My dad actually might forget it the next day. He forgets.
And but this is what I meant about the wet brain. This is what I was talking about.
Right. So what do you do then? Then in his eyes, you're just this asshole that didn't fucking say anything. You just disappeared. Yeah. And he creates this whole story of how he wants it to be. Yeah. So then you got to deal with that.
Yeah, it's almost
Right.
like Groundhog's Day. So
Yeah.
basically, wet brain, you guys, just so that you also understand, and I don't know if your dad has it or not, but wet brain is something that's common in individuals who have been drinking for a long amount of time. The brain basically starts to just deteriorate, right? And so because of that, you'll find lots of like forgetfulness, memory issues, and so that's one of the
Sorry. So getting back to there's the classic alcoholic.
There's no classic. It's just they're just different. It just
These
comes
are
out
like
differently.
the full, like the most open, like blatant level of alcoholism where
When there's like shit happening, like they've been arrested.
like
This
everybody
and that,
can
da, 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 da.
everybody can
Like,
see.
they
It's
lost
really
their job.
It's really probably more of like a cry for help, right? That's why there's all these fucking. It's like, hey, I'm here being drunk, right? Or no?
I mean, the losing your job. The certain things I would say would be like cries for help. Like trying to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Right, like that would be a huge cry for but not really killing yourself, right? So it's like self-harm, huge cry for help.
So then there's that level. Then there's the binge alcoholic, which
Binge
is
drinking.
still an alcoholic. It's just there's just different effects, right? Is that what it is? It's different.
No. Just different levels. There's just different. If by effects you mean different outcomes in terms of like maybe the binge drinker isn't experiencing, I guess, as many consequences as the one who's consistently drinking,
And maybe it's more long term too, right? Like,
they're both long term.
Well, I mean, like somebody that is just getting blasted every single day probably has less of a lifespan than
in
the
terms
one,
of that, right.
And then somebody that's binge drinking over the course of 60 years or whatever.
Right. So someone who's a binge drinker, I guess if I look at it like that, I guess, and I don't know the numbers, I don't know, but I could maybe have a lower likelihood of getting like cirrhosis of the liver at a faster,
Right.
at a faster
So that's another thing they
pace or
probably
something
use
like
as like
that.
a justification of
right, like,
they're
I'm
an
still
alcoholic.
healthy,
Like,
or
yeah.
like I'm okay. Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. That my dad goes to the VA and they're just like, oh, you're 75. We don't even need to see you anymore because like you're just 75.
Right.
And it's not like logical how they deal with these people unless you just realize that the VA doesn't really care about
Well, that's a whole other
people
problem.
that are just basically he gets these like colonoscopies every few years or whatever, and now that he's 75, even though he just had one and they found like polyps or whatever, now that he's 75 he no longer needs them anymore. Okay,
that doesn't make any sense.
So like if you found polyps the past 2 times and now he no longer needs them, most likely he's going to have polyps in 2 years. You're not going to do the test. Then in 5 years, those things might turn into something else, right? But because it's the VA and he's 75, I guess that's how much they care about you.
Is that what your dad is telling you?
That's what he says. They don't do it. He says that it's because once you hit a certain age, I guess the lining of your intestines isn't good enough to put the camera up there or some shit. I don't know. That's what they've told him.
Well, that's what he says they've told him. The only reason why I'm challenging
he would
this
definitely
is
go
because
if they were wanted him. If they said,
that's the thing about your dad too. Is like I
Yeah, you
never
never
know
know
what
what's
he.
saying.
Yeah, I never know what's really. I never know what's like real or not.
Right.
I'm like
he also said that time that he was going to go in to go get that colonoscopy, that he was going to set an appointment for therapy too. That never happened. So.
Yeah, so
It's just this whole, and that's the other frustrating part. It's not just like dealing with an alcoholic; it's dealing with somebody that doesn't remember day to day
the lies,
and it's like so many layers of stuff, and then you're just like, just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And then do what you say you're going to do.
Right. Yeah. So I will, before we wrap up, I will just really, also just throw in and really kind of stress Al-Anon groups, guys. If anyone's going through any family member, loved one, Al-Anon. If anyone themselves is going through addiction, alcoholism, and you're trying to figure out what to do and you have insight into it, meaning you are above the denial, right? You know what's going on. Hit up a meeting. The cool thing about Bill, you guys, okay? Bill We all know Bill. Bill is the big person in the addiction industry, the big blue book. Okay,
Bill? I've
he
never
is
heard
the
of
one
Bill.
that founded the AA. Okay,
Oh,
founder of AA.
we all know that?
No, I'm just,
Oh.
the founder of AA. But anyway, you can find Bill anywhere, meaning you can find a meeting anywhere. There's meetings online, okay? There's meetings on a cruise ship, okay?
Wow.
There's meetings everywhere. So
This actually
please.
might be good. Because my uncle, he's got things with the family members as well, and I maybe if I just, because his doctor has suggested that he goes to that, and I could probably go, and
I would love for you to go. I think that would be
I
great.
told him, I was like, oh yeah, that would be good for you, but I never thought like it would be good for me too.
Of course it
So
would.
maybe because he's kind of reluctant to go. Maybe if I say,
with
hey,
him.
I'll go, it's beneficial for both of us probably.
Go with him. Yeah, it's great. It's probably one of the I loved it. I mean, I thought it was really helpful. So
Yeah. The frustrating part for me right now is that I'm aware of all of this, and there's nothing I can do about it.
that's the helplessness.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that as well, and I'm technically okay with that. I just, when I'm there, when you're with this person for like a week straight,
And you see them,
and you're
yeah.
seeing them do these things over and over and over again,
or
it's
living
like,
with them.
yeah,
or
if you're
whatever.
living with them, it's like you can
more difficult.
that's when you like
more
mentally
difficult.
have to detach.
It's so difficult.
But then you still got to have like day-to-day conversations and act as if like you're happy with your life, which you should be, but like you're sad that they're doing this every day. You know what I'm saying? It's a very
That they're hurting
catch-22.
themselves. Yeah, addiction is a very, very, very tricky thing, I will say.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, I hope that someone can take something from this. Those meetings, like I said, you can hit up meetings anywhere. They have online meetings for both Al-Anon and AA and NA. Also, if anyone is experiencing any kind of emotional distress and needs someone to talk to, mental, anything like that, you can hit up psychologytoday.com. Psychologytoday.com is a great website. I'm actually also on that website of therapists, right, in your area. Okay, so you can search by zip code, and they'll tell you on your profile what insurance they take and all of that. They'll tell you their fees. It's just a really great. You can also go through your insurance and find some providers, but sometimes it's not updated. So I would do the Psych Today.
Oh, well, also remind them that apparently now you can search for a specific black therapist.
They do know. Well, I said this last
Which
time.
I
There's
feel is very
also-
racist, but if you want that.
It's not racist. There's I think it's called like, damn it, I forgot. I told my sister. Oh man, I said it in a prior podcast though.
Anyways. Sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Then well, also, if you're interested in more of the spiritual side of things, like I said, there are different programs that you may have heard of, like through ayahuasca or the toad or whatever. Those things are usually out of the country. South America, there's a lot of that stuff going on in Brazil and Costa Rica and wherever down there. And then as far as if you were interested in going more the spiritual route, kind of like what I did, numerology is something to start looking into. It really gives you a lot of insight on yourself. It's literally written in the stars. They just need your name and your birth date, and they will tell you a lot about who you are and why you do things. And if you wanted to go through a whole process with meditation and just literally all kinds of information about yourself and who you are and what you want to be and goals that you have, you can hit up Wes Hamilton. I believe it's weshamilton.com. He's out in Minnesota. This is the guy that I went to see. I'm sure there's a million other numerologists out there if you just look it up online. But Wes Hamilton is my guy. He's been doing it for a long time, and does a very good job. Especially also, he does things with businesses as well. So if you have like a business that you're struggling or you want to create a business, but you're not sure which path to go down or how to go about doing it, they have programs that help you with that as well.
The other thing I was also going to say, damn it, I had it in my head as you were talking. And I was like, I have to say this. Shit, I forgot. Forget it.
We can add it back in.
Yeah. All right. I hope everybody has a great week. Today is Monday for us. You'll probably hear this on Wednesday or whenever. But have a great week, everyone, and stay healthy and safe.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Bye.